All right, what is up, my fellow YouTubers? It's been a while. I actually, this is kind of a quick one that I had to do because I'm selling my DSL100HR. So I figured I'd go ahead and actually make a video. The last video I made of it, I wasn't too happy with it, so I figured let's go ahead and do a real mic up and let's compare these two. Let's see if they do actually sound the same, and if I'm making a horrible regret by keeping the H instead of the HR. Let's do this. All right, so in that first clip, what you heard was the DSL-H and the DSL-HR. And what I did there is for the first portion of those riffs, I did without a boost. So I'm using the SD1, of course, you have to, right? And I used the SD1 for the second set of riffs. So that had a little bit more grit to it. And everything is at noon at the moment. And we're not doing the second stage gain. So if you push the little button, it actually goes into like a higher gain territory. So we're not doing that for that piece of it. I particularly like the lower gain setting on the lead channel anyways. So both of these are awesome amps. There is a slight characteristic difference. It's not too much, and you wouldn't be able to tell one from the other if you didn't have both of them right next to each other. They're both awesome amps, and spoiler alert, I think the 100H is just more classic sounding, and the HR is more modern sounding. So let's go through these channels and see if that actually plays out. Let's go ahead and go to the, let's see, the classic. So we're going to switch the channel here. This one, the 100H, has a clean and crunch button, so you can go from clean to crunch on this one. And on the HR, we can switch over with this button, and it kind of is, okay, we can switch between those two as well. So let's compare the clean on both of those. First, let's go through the first one, right? That is pretty pleasant. Makes me feel like I'm in the clouds. So, all right, let's see. That sounds great. I'm really digging that. So let's go over to the HR, see what that sounds like. Now, the one thing about the HR is there's two master volumes, which is if you want one set to a lower rhythm tone, and then you want the other one set to a higher level, and you can do leads and just kind of thicken that up. Now the EQ's playing on the same thing. So let's go ahead and check out the clean on this one. Let's bring this back down to the middle, and let's bring the master volume up. There we go. Still has a little bit of breakup on there, but all right, let's go back to the H. Let's go ahead and bring the level on that one up. All right, go back to the HR. So they pretty much sound the same, I would say. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the Cruch channels. We're gonna engage those. So right now we are on the HR. All right, let's see. And that is an awesome Cruch channel. I definitely do love that. All right, let's go to the H. Ooh, it's a good bit louder. All right, let's check it out. Bring it up a little bit. There we go. Now, okay, there's a difference there I'm seeing. I don't know if I got the levels exactly right though, but probably needs to go down just a tad. And let's go back over to the HR. A lot more gain on HR. H. And that's probably what I'm hearing, is that the HR just has a little more gain to it. Let's go back over to the H, well, we're on the H right now. Let's bring some gain up on that. All right, HR. Okay. There's the H. Okay, so what I'm hearing is inherently the H is a little more classic sounding. I don't know if you're hearing that on your side, but that's what I'm kind of catching on this. Go back to the HR. It almost sounds like there's a little more resonance on the HR. Let's make sure that, yeah, the resonance is actually a little bit lower on the HR, which we'll go ahead and even that out. There we go. Let's see. All right, back to the H. Still, it just doesn't have as much gain as the HR. And this might be because of different preamp tubes. And this is where you hear the difference between them. It being, you know, not having as much gain in different type of tubes. That's the only kind of tonal difference, not even tone, that I typically hear with preamp tubes. So, sounds like whatever preamp tubes are in the HR is making it a little hotter. So let's see how gainy these can get. So we're on the H, and this is all the way up. Go back to the HR and let's see how gainy this one can get. All the way up. Now I kind of like the amount of gain that the HR is pushing here. The H seems like it kind of like fizzles out at the end and kind of compresses. Maybe that's not the word for it, but it just sounds like it loses definition. There you go. But I I feel like on the neck pickup, it sounds a lot more alive on the HR. And let's go back to the H. It just sounds like I need to change my strings. That's the best way I could put it. All right, so that's enough of the clean and the crunch channel. Let's go over to the leads. We're going to do lead 1 and lead 2, and then do the SD1. Let's check it out. All right, so got that set up. Now, the one thing I'm not going to do that no one should ever do, and no one ever does, is that tone shift button. So we're not even going to mess with that, okay? We all know it just sucks the life out of the amps. So here's the 100H on the lead channel with the gain at noon. Now that's awesome. I dig that. It's still very classic sounding, but it just sounds like a modded Marshall, to tell you the truth. And I really dig that. Remember, the settings are all at noon right now. So let's check out the HR. Ooh, it's a good bit louder. All right. And this one just sounds more pushed. You know, it sounds like it's got a heavier tone. It's more metal sounding. So now, when you push this loud and you actually get the power tubes pushed into it, and you saturate those just a little bit, that's where you get that really nice combination of the preamp tubes and the power tubes, and it sounds awesome. So we're not pushing it to that point right now. That's where amps either shine or fall apart, and Marshalls typically shine when they do that. So okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually push up the gain up to about 3 o'clock on both of them. That's kind of like where I typically like it on the lead 1 on both of these amps. So let's see what that sounds like. Sounds like a little more floor noise with the H. So all right, so we got it at 3 o'clock now. Ah, that's awesome. You see how much that thickens up there? That is freaking awesome. I love that. And it's just enough of gain that when you pump it up and get those power tubes rolling, then you're in the metal territory. So that sounds great. So now let's go over to the HR and see what that sounds like. Ooh, now there's some chunk to that, huh? Ah, that sounds awesome, man. Man, should I sell this HR? I don't know. It sounds pretty damn good. Let's go ahead and boost them. So at this point, this is kind of where I like to boost them. Let's go ahead and check out the HR since we're on it. We got the SD1 on. Oh, that's it right there. That's it. That makes me, oh yeah. Yeah, that is good. I don't think I even changed the EQ on it. It sounds awesome as it is. I will definitely play with the resonance just so we can get that big old chunky sound to it. So let's go ahead and check out the HR with the SD1. SD1 is already engaged and we already hear some floor noise to it. So that might be because these tubes are a tad bit hotter. Usually factory Marshalls are around 25. These were pushed to 30. Now we got the Marshall 100H with the SD1 on, and let's see what that sounds like. I think this is OLA approved. I don't know, whenever I get something that's chuggy into that territory, I want to play Slayer. That's just my opinion. But that sounds freaking awesome too. So let's go back over to the 100HR and see if that sounds any different. And I'm going to go back and forth with them just to see. Here's the HR. $108. $100HR. Okay, obviously the 100HR is brighter. I guess that's more for the modern take of this. So the H just has a darker tone to it. Hell yeah. Okay, let's take the SD1 off and let's actually go to channel or lead 2 on both of them. All right, so here's the HR. It also almost has that like HM2 kind of Metal Zone kind of buzzsaw sound to it. Pretty cool. So let's go over and go over to the H. Okay, that does not sound good. It just sounds like it's too compressed. I'm not digging the way that sounds. Go back to the HR. we go. There's a comparison of both of them. I hope this was, enlightening for you guys. I know that the HR has a little bit more, things it can do. It has a nice emulated out in the back. So you could go through, and without using the cab, you could use the HR. The H, it doesn't have those kind of features. And to me, still, it sounds like the H is just more classic, and the HR is just more modern. The HR having just a little more brightness to it. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and kind of set these amps up to the way I like them, and we'll just kind of see what that sounds like too. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and DMD out. Let's see here, let's bring in a little resonance, some presence. First off, let's take off that lead. Okay, I like the tone of that. To tell you the truth, when this is louder, the presence needs to be way down on this thing. As it gets louder, it gets a little sharper. So, but because we're at a low volume, I'm using it presence a little bit more on here. So let's go with an HR. Let's go ahead and kill that one. I kind of like this one pretty close to noon. All right, let's go ahead and do the SD1. Okay, let's bring up some more bass. Yeah, I think that's it. So back to the H with the SD1. Just different. It's different sounding. I got the mids up for sure. See how that takes out the life out of it? But the mids kind of work better on the H. Actually, sorry, that was the treble. Okay, so now the HR sounds a little, like it wouldn't come out in the mix as well. Let's go ahead and push the mids on that. So this is the HR, and this is the H, HR, H.